I'm Julianne, and today we're going to be sewing along together to make a drawstring gift bag in 10 easy steps. The materials you're going to need for our drawstring gift bag today are at least half a yard of a woven fabric. You're going to need 1 1/4 yards of 1/2 inch ribbon and a thread color to match. You will need a sewing machine, iron, pins, 1 safety pin, a ruler, scissors, and pinking shears are optional. Today's skills are a straight stitch and a casing. When you lay your fabric out to cut, you want to make sure it's even on the selvage line and that you want to make sure that your right side's together. So the right side is the side that's going to show the side where the print is the way you want it. A lot of printed cotton are going to have an easily identifiable right side, wrong side. So you want the right sides together as you lay out before you cut. I want to cut and measure, so I'm making it 12 inches on the long side, marking with my erasable pen, and marking it 9 inches across, 12 inches down the other side. So I only had to draw 3 lines because my 4th is a fold. I'm not sewing or cutting that line. Now you're just going to cut along that line. I'm using my pinking shears so I don't have to finish this seam because it's not something that's going to get washed a lot. It's not a piece of clothing. Now, in order to make sure that my casing is in the right place, I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch down from the top and then 3/4 of an inch down from that. And I'm not going to sew here on this opening. So I want to make sure it's marked for me to remember not to sew right there. Then do the same thing on the other side. Next, I'm going to pin the long sides. I'm going to make sure I do pin right at those 3/4 marks. But other than that, I'm going to pin mine about 4 inches apart. If you're newer to sewing and your hand control on the machine is not something you're super comfortable with yet, you might pin them a little bit closer together. Don't overpin though. Don't go closer than 2 inches or you'll just end up stopping and taking pins out every few seconds. And sewing can get pretty frustrating when you're doing that. So notice I'm using a 1/2 inch seam allowance and I'm going to sew and back stitch just that first 3/4 of an inch. Going to stop, back stitch again. And then I want to lift my presser foot and pull it forward so that I'm starting again at the end of my 3/4 of an inch. Take that pin out so I don't sew in it. And again, make sure I'm lined up at that 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to finish sewing, back stitch again so that seam is strong, and just finish sewing all the way down. Back stitch here at the end. You're going to repeat that for both sides, and then you're going to clip the corners. And you're just going to want to iron it, get those seams nice and straight, both your fold and what you sewed. If you need to push those seams out with the point turner, you can, to make sure that your seams are straight. Now I'm going to want to fold this down 3/4 of an inch. So I have my 6-inch ruler. This one has a nice slider. I can set to 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to be folding wrong side to wrong side. And I want to just all the way around make my fold 3/4 of an inch. You can pin it along the way. And I'm just going to do this all the way around. Iron that again, making sure not to get the iron on the heads of your pins. Most of them are plastic, some of them will melt. So just make sure you're not ironing on those. Okay, now I'm going to make sure that I push this part down so that I only have one piece of it under the machine. I am sewing from the right side. Anytime I'm top stitching, I like to sew from the right side because your top stitch is always going to look neater than your bobbin. So it's important to do the right side up. I'm going to sew at 5/8 inch, so I make sure I catch that 3/4 inch seam, but I'll also have room for my 1/2 inch ribbon. So just sewing at 5/8 of an inch all the way around. So I've cut my ribbon at 22 inches. Now I'm going to take my safety pin and just thread it in and out the end, close it up. So now I have something secure to run it through, and I'm gonna find my casing opening, and I'm just going to push the safety pin through, push with one hand, pull with my other. As I do that, it's going to thread the ribbon through. Okay, and now I'm just going to pull my ribbon out the other side. You can see it's cinching my bag, so then I have room, and I'm just gonna pull my bag to its full length, even out my edges, because I want those even on one end. You wanna make sure my ribbon didn't twist, so lay it nice and flat. And I'm gonna take my safety pin out, and I'm just gonna tie off this end. Here we go. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side. So notice this one went in and out the same hole. This one is going to go in and out the opposite hole. Now when you get to the side that already has the ribbon in it, you're just going to want to lift that up a little bit and move it around to make sure that your ribbon is still going through to the other side without pulling your knot with it. Now I have this side pulled through. I'm going to tie a knot on this side. I do want to make sure that my ribbon didn't twist, so, and that it's even. Struggling to get it even here. Go ahead and tie it up. Okay, now I have my perfect drawstring for my drawstring gift bag. Now I can slip my gift right in, cinch it up, and I have my gift all ready to go. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials.